Next lesson in VU, you guys worked a little bit on gradients. So where this should be review, you're going to go through on this first one and do a linear, radial, freeform gradient. So everybody should know how to do that by pulling up your gradient box. You can go to Windows, Gradients, which is already open. Where to go? It's over here. So there's your 3 different types right there. Hopefully you got a chance to work with freeforms. Being slow, there we go. And adding different points, and then you can change the points. Right now it's white. So freeform really gives you the flexibility for the gradient. So fill those in as linear, radial, and freeform. Number 5, we're using the gradient annotator. So what that is if you do a radial gradient and you fill it in, see how the circle doesn't completely go all the way around it. So you get your gradient tool and you see this circle. You can squish the circle down so it fills in, and then you can edit the color. So that's how you work with fitting it to the circle. Another thing you can do is your gradient library. Your gradient library is, gotta remember where it's at, in your swatches panel. I gotta find my swatches here. And you go to your library, swatch library, and you're going to go to gradients, and then you have all kinds of gradient libraries you can pull up that's already there. So if you want something to help you out, you can say you want a vignette. See all those vignettes you can do. You can pick one which will allow the center to be open, so that's kind of helpful. And then see how the circle's not working there, so then you can just, there you go, your vignette. So a great tool to use. So that's your gradient library. So pick one and put it there. You can play with a few of those. Number 6 is your gradient mesh. To work with the gradient mesh is a little bit different than your free form. It blends it a little bit more, I think. So do your gradient mesh. You're going to get your gradient mesh tool, which is right here, and make sure it's filled. They'll let me do it. You could do object. I kind of forget actually where it is. So you could do the envelope to start with a mesh. Nope, that's not it, sorry. I don't have to do it. Okay, so it's right there, so it must need, I think it needs to have a fill color. Object. It's not liking this, so let's see if we can do it with the square. There you go. Sorry. So it doesn't like this for some reason, this shape for the gradient mesh. My bad. Yeah, so get rid of that, just so you know how to do it. You do that shape. Now you have a mesh. Now you can get your direct select tool with A, and you're going to you can click on points and do different colors. And so on and so forth. So make your own gradient mesh. Another way you could do it is if, say, you're trying to do an apple and trying to do how to fill it. It's a terrible apple. Smooth it out here. It's a fine looking apple. We fill it red, and then object, create with mesh, and then you have your mesh, and you could do it to centered, or put that to flat, kind of play with those, or you could do it with less columns and rows, so there's less to fill, and usually it's darker around the edges, so you could grab that point and just make it like a darker red, so then it gives it some shadowing. So that's a good part about doing gradient meshes, because you can apply color places a little bit more randomly. You can, it's lighter there, and then get your mesh tool and you can actually add points in there if you feel like you needed to add more. So that's a gradient mesh. With the circle blend tool, what you're going to do is apply a gradient to it. You could get, it doesn't matter the gradient, I wouldn't do a stroke, and then you're going to hold option down and drag it, and then you're going to go to your blend tool, which your blend tool is under object blend. Object. Oh my gosh, why am I missing it? Choose object blend make. So you can go to your blend options if you want to change it into steps or just a smooth color, and hit OK, and then you can hit object blend make, and then it just allows you to blend smoothly, and it did it in steps. So if we would have put it to blend smoothly, object blend options, and so that would have been align to page, align to path. Okay, and then object blend make. So you can play with the blend tool, but as you can see, it fills it in. Let's get rid of that. So that's the blend tool. We kind of worked on that last time. Filters and effects, so we're going to apply a filter to each of these. So this one is effect, and you're going to open your effect gallery, and there's all these kind of different things that you can play with, which you probably didn't know was there. So you're going to pick 3 different ones and hit OK, and then go to the next one, and so kind of play with those. For filters and effects, graphic styles, we're going to open the graphic style palette, which is open already. You can go to the library, artistic effects, whatever you want to open. There's all kinds of graphic styles, and you're just going to pick again 3 different ones to apply to it. It fills it in, or it applies a stroke around it. That's a pattern, so they all could be different, but those are already set within Illustrator for you to use. So do 3 different ones of those. Appearance palette. I already have it 2. This one's a little more confusing, but like if you have it open, it shows what it is. If you were to highlight it, it shows the fill color. So you're gonna change the color to something you like, and then you're gonna apply a drop shadow, and you would do that under the effects right here. that you can apply directly to it, and it's under stylize. Doesn't let me, hang on. Stylize, drop shadow, and then again play with the different drop shadow options. The blur is pretty big on it. Let's just do like, you could do 0, 2, and then the offset could be 0.03. That with 3 as well. So then it's closer. So appearance palette allows you to see the effect, and you can actually take it off if you don't want it. You can delete the effect. So this is appearance palette, allows you, as you apply stuff to things, you can take it off, so you can see that it's a compound path with the fill in there. You could, oh, there you go. You could kind of take that fill off there too. So appearance palette's where you can find things to edit after you do it. Number 11 is the free transform tool. This is a little different than just doing, because this is like, you can distort and stuff like this. But if you grab the free transform tool, you have different options here. You can free distort, perspective distort, or free transform, or you can constrain, lock it in place so it won't do that. So if you just click on one, you can actually work on the perspective, or you can do a warp. So it's an easy way to warp something in Illustrator, and it is still vector. So that's under the free transform, so play with that. The pathfinder is something I use a lot. You're going to go through, and this is your, pull up your pathfinder palette, and then you're going to, if you hover over it, you can see what they are, but they're pretty much in order. So you're going to unite things, so you can see the difference on what they're for. So just go through and click it, and as you can see, they combine, it cuts, it leaves what's there, exclusion, we'll take out what's overlapping, so on and so forth. So go through all of them, and you can see how each of them works. I use merge a lot, especially for like t-shirts and designs, because it merges all those lines, and if you direct select, you can see how it cuts it out. So that's kind of how I showed you guys how to do your 3-color animal, to combine layers and then just separate layers. So merge is something I use a lot. Alignment is huge. You should be familiar with this, but as you see, it says vertically align and horizontal distribute center. So that's all your options right here. So if you hover over vertical align, so it centers it. Now we want even spacing in between each of them. So you do that with this one, horizontal distribute center. So now there's even spaces. So that's what that means. This one's going to be right align, and then we're going to just vertically distribute spacing. So do the other two, you can, to align them correctly. Blend modes. So this will be the last thing we're working on today. It's under your transparency window. Transparency, blend modes is something pretty cool. You can grab your own picture, use the one that I have, and then the square you're just going to place over top of it. What blend modes do is allow things to blend. So there's 16 of them, so I want you to do one for each of them and label them. So that one is darken. It gives it like a pink sky. Then just label it darken. And then you could change the color or keep the same color depending on what you see. Is multiply, so it did kind of do something, so then label it and then go to the next one and go to color burn. So see how that even made it even a cooler picture. So this is a way you can edit photos within Illustrator by giving it a different feel, or even over a graphic you can layer things this way. Lighten does that. So make sure you label them and go all through 16 of them. If you need to add another page, please do so by going to your page and adding plus. So those are 13 things we're working on in this section before we get our final assignment. Working on Pathfinder and the free transform and alignment tools. If you have any questions, let me know.